Bryan McDonald, 2024 Grand National NTPA Mini Rod Champion. How does that feel?
Not sure yet. It's kind of sinking in. I woke up this morning thinking, was that a dream or did that really happen? So anyway, it's pretty cool.
Storybook ending last night. You come into Wasion with how many point lead did you have?
I think we were 12 and a half points ahead of Ken. So I had to not mess up, not run out of bounds, not one wheel or flip over. And boy, I was feeling pretty good about it on the ride out. And we get there and the track's a little bit tricky and slippery. And a lot of the pullers are one wheeling or upsetting the tractors and stuff. And I'm starting to sweat pretty good at that point because I'm earlier to hook than Ken was. And I knew the track was getting better with every run, but boy, it was making me sweat pretty good.
So when you hear 12 and a half point lead, to a common pulling fan, it sounds like a lot. But when you have 25 or 30 Grand National mini rods there, and it's 1 point per vehicle,
yeah.
Brian, it's not.
Oh,
it was not a guarantee last night.
No, absolutely not. And I just had to lay down a good run, and it was nerve wracking. And I put a little extra fuel in the motor to calm it down a little bit because it seemed like that was some of the problem. The tires were coming out of the track, and we just kind of took a shot in the dark. And boy, when I pushed the throttle forward, it moved, and that was a big sigh of relief for me for sure.
Now, originally they were going to run the mods. The region mods before you guys to kind of groom the track.
Yes.
And then we're about half an hour before showtime or an hour before showtime, they changed the pulling order. So we come out right away, and Adam Kester was walking off the track, and he looked at Alice and I and said, "This is going to be wild to have your cameras ready." What did he mean by that at that point, Brian? And what did you see in that track that had you nervous?
It was just greasy on top, slippery. And the mini rods were bobbling and lifting one tire out. In other words, it was bringing a tire up out of the track, and it was kind of uncontrollable, at that point. So I think it was the first four. They reset the sled, and they just weren't getting down there, and so they came back. So it was actually the fifth hook. I think was maybe not even the first official hook. I think they may have dropped. I can't remember, but it was quite a few before they actually got the official hooks going. So just tricky.
So the season started in Benson, North Carolina this year, right? How did we do it? How did you do in Benson? Do you remember off the top of your head?
I think we got sixth the first day and fourth the second day, if I can remember correctly.
So when you're chasing Grand National points, and obviously that's why you run.
Every hook counts.
Yep. What was the farthest you were behind this year, and what was the biggest you were ahead this year? Do you remember?
No, I'm sorry, I don't. But I probably. I think I was top five, maybe behind at Hutchison. We rained out and I didn't do well at Hutchison. And, but I think we were still top five. And, we were behind a few, or, when we got ahead, we maybe got 1 or 2 points ahead. And, it was back and forth. It was a lot of fun. Really was. It was super tough competition. The Theobalds and Ken they were always just bringing everything they had, and we could just try to come in and always deliver a decent run, and that was kind of our goal. And I think after Wellington was probably the biggest lead we had. So anyway,
so correct me if I'm wrong. Grant pretty much dominated up till Chapel Hill. Everybody was chasing Grant through Chapel Hill.
Yes,
I think you came in about 10 points behind, and I think you came out a little bit ahead after Chapel Hill.
We had a really good weekend at Chapel Hill. We got a second and a first down at Chapel Hill.
Larry Kester beat you Friday night. You understand that, right? Yeah, not Adam. Larry Kester beat you Friday night.
Yes. Yes. And Chase was going to get by me too, but he broke a rear end at like a foot short of getting around me. And yes, Larry pulled that tractor down there for Adam.
So you come out Chapel Hill, then you and Grant kind of go back and forth a little bit, and all of a sudden old Ken Benny starts sneaking in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew he was starting to get his combination going, and I could feel him coming.
Yep.
And he got on a roll there at Fort Recovery, and he was tough the rest of the year. So I'm thankful he didn't have as tough a first part of the season as did the second part of the season.
I would say you were just strongly consistent all year round. Did you have any like 10s or 11s? Were you always in the top 10 all year?
Yeah, a couple. Trying to think. One the day session at Toma, and at Napoleon. Okay. I don't know. We had a decent run, but we stunk. We just didn't go. I'm not sure why. And we did the same thing last year there. We just do not have a combination for the Napoleon track. If we go back next year, we're going to try something different. But
so last night, we're in Wasion, Ohio. You're running your mini rod. Your two-wheel drive truck that you're partners with, Chase Richardson, pulling in Canton, Ohio.
Yes.
Did that help take a little bit of the edge off a little bit?
Absolutely not. No.
I didn't know if you were you worried about Chase?
Well, no, we were thankfully we were busy enough that I didn't have time to think about it. And but it was just a busy night, and it couldn't have worked out better. I think Chase had pulled into the lead before I drove. It was after I drove my tractor, but before I drove his. And we were about last of the regular tractors to run. The first hooks came back and were behind me, but we were the last of the regular tractors to run.
Yeah, so last night you were one of the first minis to kind of put it out there. Yes. Everybody had been low 300s or high 290. You go 315.
Yes.
And then Ken comes up and goes 316.
Yes.
Right. So in my mind, I go, well, there's no way we're going to get 10 mini rods in between 316 and 350. I know it's mathematically possible, but that's a 1 in a billion chance.
I still wasn't breathing easy at that point. It wasn't until we got down to maybe 5 or 6 tractors. I'm like,
so then we find out Chase just takes the lead in Canton.
Yes.
Now you're jumping on Chase's mini rod, the vibrator, and that's the best pass I've seen that tractor make all year. It picked the front end up, Brian, and you were gone.
Gone. Yes. It was so funny. Everybody, we were setting the timing, and we set it at. Nobody would give. I finally said a number, and it said, we'll go with that. If it's a little below, it's good. If it's a little above, it's good. And I really don't. CJ checked the timing. He just looked at me, gave a thumbs up and a smile. And so CJ's the only one that knows what the timing is.
And he forgot.
Yeah,
that secret is safe.
Yes.
That went somewhere else already.
Yeah, but it was so cool. Everybody, was having input, and that was just a cool ride. It really was. As soon as I moved the throttle, the front end started coming up, and the more I pushed it, the more it came up, and it just took off, went straight as it could be. Great front.
This is your first Grand National Championship?
Yes, first Grand National Championship. Was involved with Keith Wason on the Super B championship that he won, and that was a ton of fun too. To work with him and for him to get that was great as well. But this was a team effort with the Richardsons and Modern Machine and Brad Corporal and Derek, and just great people. I can't say enough about them. My wife at home keeps things going straight, and Allison is out here on the road with us, keeping things lively for us all, and all the help she gives everyone.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, 2024 Grand National Champion Mini Rod. Well deserved. You could easily say the two-wheelers and the minis are the most competitive class in pulling, with the amount of vehicles. Well, just from the amount of vehicles that everybody has a chance to win. I'm just talking pure numbers, Brian. Night to night, you have the most head-to-head battles than you do in any other class.
We absolutely had a ball. I love all the competitors, and we had a ton of fun. Let's keep our fingers crossed for the two-wheel drive.
Yeah. When are you building a Pro Stock?
Not on the schedule.
Bryan McDonald, everybody, your 2024 Mini Rod Grand National Champion.